Hello Moogles, it's the Schwantz27 here to recap week 2 of our ongoing event, the Flashback Battle Royale, and this week is where the difficulty started to ratchet up a bit with the Coliseum Grand Finals, originally taking place with Jackamus defeating Doesn't. If you wanted to play the exact seed on version 0.9.2, you could go back in the past to when you reset to Narsh each time you change worlds on the airship with the seed of the week, so be sure to head to that section of the website or Discord if you would like to play it. As far as the flag set options go, we knew we would start with Vanilla Mog, Strago, and Gao with GP Rain to go along with Rage, looking for 10 more Espers and 2 unscaled dragons to unlock Final Kefka. The biggest issues with this flag set were the higher than usual 3 times characters plus Espers plus dragons for scaling, split party experience from fights which impacted how runners decided to go through the game, and finally the normalize and distort stats flag, warping some of the easy bosses into being formidable foes. We knew who our starting characters would be, but not exactly what their starting abilities would yield. However, upon loading into the game, Gao had the Retainer and Io on her starting Rage list, with Quasar as a starting lore for Strago, and Hot Garbage for dance abilities on Mog. It became apparent very quickly that money was going to be an issue in this one. Checking the shops with Super Balls in the Returner's Hideout, Valiant Knight for Strago and World of Balance South Figaro, Illumina's in World of Balance Thamasa, and that armor would not be a problem with the Minerva and 2 Force Armors with an Experience Egg in the Cider Dude's Barrel in South Figaro. Those that did go to Thamasa also got fixed dice for Mog to go along with Boots and Horn for sale in 2 separate relic shops. Gao's Velt check yielded Bismarck with the closing quote on the end of the Esper dialogue, unlike in the Seed of the Week if you played that one, along with an actual usable dance for Mog if you chose to keep him in your party with the split experience enabled to head through the Serpent Trench for Capture Setzer at the end, with an offering for sale in the Nikea relic shop to go with either of those 2 build options, plus the Stray Cat fight in the trench for Gao's Rage. The Esper Stray, no cat, was the Esper at Colin Janin. If you continued onwards to Daryl's Tomb, you had to get through the Tentacles fight, which is disastrous at low levels for Cyan as the reward, and rounding out Setzer's checks was Atma at Search the Skies, another brutal boss early, but very good for your IO Rage user with the damage based off of the enemy level instead of your level and magic power stat. However, the reward at that spot was a cat hood, which would go a long way to help you afford those juicy goodies in shops. Had you instead gone to Burning House to get levels after potentially bouncing off the Daryl's Tomb and Search the Sky boss spots, Harpy Prussian and Ceratops mobs guarded the Ghost Train at the end, who could be easily dispatched of with Doom on one of those early Espers, and the reward was also a dead check, but an Aura Lance for Mog to use. Following Cyan's checks into Dodoma Siege required a Magimaster fight for the Unicorn Esper, which wasn't an issue for Gar's party of a Minerva offering Valiant Knife Strago. Our other starting character Mog's checks gave us the choice of a Genji helmet or Marvel shoes at Lone Wolf, and another dead check Genji shield at Moogle Defense. Sandwiched in between was Realm after a Tritok fight at the Narsh battle, and for some runners this wasn't necessary had you gotten some more characters in Cyan's checks, and more on those later. Poltergeist was the boss at Esper Mountain for an Ifrit reward. Cyan's Dream was 3 for 3 with shiny stones in Kirin, Zoneseek, and Maduin. Although 2 unscaled dragons were required, the Gold Dragon and Narsh couldn't save yet another dead check offering at the Tritok Cliff after getting Katana Soul in the Classroom Monster in a Box, which definitely solved your money problems. The Zen Thief netted another Esper to bring us within 2 stones and 1 dragon, and that was the next target in Mount Zozo, with Shadow writing love letters and another chance to use that IO Rage, this time on the Ice Dragon. This then led to Blitz Celeste at Gao Manor, so the Magitech Factory was the next spot for our first 2 checks rewarding us Phoenix, and then Ragnarok the Esper at the Vanilla number 24 fight for Go Mode. Gar decided to walk up Kefka's Tower twice, sending his 3-person party on the right side for 3 fights, the first of which being a jacked up number 128 with the Normalize and Distort setting enabled, a scary goddess fight at Guardian, if not for an angry old man chopping 8 knives at the sky instead of yelling at the clouds. Then the rest of the Kefka Tower bosses were also pretty rough, with an SR Behemoth at the end of that party's trek, and the 3-part Magitech-infused Nightmares of Air Force and Inferno on the side statues, which gave all sorts of trouble to our runners that split up their parties with 1 viable character apiece. With some varying strategies for how to proceed in the seed, as some went with a party of 2 like Gar, others 3, still others like myself brought extra characters into the fold as the seed wore on, and there were a bunch of different builds for the final Kefka fight. Most had Strago with a Valiant Knife and Offering, and potentially 2, or using Quasar. Gao used the Stray Cat Rage with the Offering. Celeste had Blitz, so could get Bum Rushed right away, or use an Illumina from the Mount Zozo Dragon or the shops. Mog or Setzer could do Fixed Dice with the Offering, or in the Moogle's case, Boots and Horn and Aura Lance, and there's always Ice and Bolt 3 to use for spells for Realm or some other caster. Instant Death and Float took care of any concerns about untargetable offense on Tier 1, while Light 3 was the spell of choice to combat Calmness on Tier 3, which is usually the scariest part of the fight with Normalize and Distort option turned on. However, Tier 2 was an issue this seed with 10 hits for Gar, as he did not have the Vanish spell in his arsenal, so the refight went a lot better with more careful planning, as the time of 1:34.41 was good enough for second place after another Golden Shocker top time of 1:25.33, over 9 minutes ahead. Only 40 runners moved on, and there were 3 runners with a 2-hour, 12-minute time, but only one of them made the cut in this run, unfortunately. Now on to Memory Lane, as this time a jumping build for Mog was available very early from a Dragon Horn in the Narsh Shed and Boots in the Relic Shop, with an Aura Lance in the South Figaro basement. Similar to the other seed, money was going to be tight in this one, with big swords into Zen, having Ragnaroks in World of Balance and Illuminas in the World of Ruin. However, what wasn't expensive was the 3300 GP Crusader from the Zen Thief. Heading over to Thamasa for Burning House had an Experience Egg in a barrel, and J. Brun TR just happened to get unluckily wiped with a level ? Pearl spell. After going back for the egg, he instead pivoted over to the Velt for a second Esper with Starlet. The Serpent Trench was a lot more forgiving, using Gao's Rage Prussian and Mog's Water Rondo Dance, both granting access to Landslide, and Strago starting Aqua Rake for lore. A Cozy Snow Muffler was the reward at the end, finishing off our Gao checks. Mog's Loop was up next, as Lone Wolf held on to a Ragnarok sword for Mog if you didn't go with a jump build. Katana Soul ended up somehow running back and forth protecting Kefka at Narsh, cosplaying as Terra, which was taken advantage of with Mog's Spectre Dance, allowing for an easy Slayer edge. Another early Tentacles fight rewarded us with a Minerva, and Moogle Defense had Fixed Dice for Strago, which also meant that Narsh was a bust in this seed too in terms of progression, but at least the items were more useful. Until heading back to grab the Lone Wolf Moogle Mines, we did see that the other option was Bismarck. In the other world, Tritok Cliff had Shoat, and the Red Dragon dropped an Economizer. Although we didn't need them for Kefka requirements, we needed more characters to access more checks to get to 10 Espers, so collecting Coral was on the menu, yielding Odin at Ebbett's Rock. Peaking Fanatic's Tower had the actual Terror this time, but J. Brun TR did not have any real offensive spells learned yet, so was into Burning House again, this time getting better luck, and after seeing Doom at the end, he may not have made it out the first time here anyways. But he now knew that the answer was a required Fanatic's Tower with a Genji Shield reward, making that the second dead Burning House this week. Yuck. Being equipped with an Economizer and Fire 3 made this not an issue, taking out the Gold Dragon in the middle, dropping an Aegis Shield, and a Cat Hood at the top prior to setting Chatternook ablaze. Terror was already level 40 by the time she was acquired, so putting her right into the party wasn't a big deal, with the XP gains being reduced because we were already at enough levels to kill Kefka anyways, and she was the recipient of double Luminas and a Genji Glove. Sealed Gate Cave was another Esper, and Locke was on top of Zozo Tower, which led to 3 more Espers, Fenrir, Stray, and Unicorn at South Figaro Cave, Welk, and the Narsh Weapon Shop to put us at 9. In lieu of diving Phoenix Cave or peeking Mobliz, a ride on the Leet River netted Setzer, who is a great character to find if one needs Espers. Unfortunately, Shadow was at the Kolingen Inn, and Magimaster flying through the skies gave up a gem box, so we finally turned to Gal Manor for our go mode. Thanks a lot, Gambler. Kefka's Tower still had some tricks up its sleeve, with Doom Gaze at the Guardian spot to fail you for bad math, but thankfully, Jay Brunter passed this one, unlike the Burning House earlier. A potentially big wall in the Ifrit Shiva awaited for you after that, with Shiva making a rare appearance due to not being able to blast down Ifrit. SR Behemoth was the barricade on the left side and easy Welk for the right. As far as party composition, the big buyable swords dominated here, along with an easy jump build for Mog, or a Fixed Dice Offering combo for Strago to go along with Tre Fuego for casting. Access to instant death and calmness protection was good for getting going through those tiers of the final fight, with the double fisting swords doing the rest, giving J Brun TR the first place finish with a 207.24. This upcoming week is Ultros League Season 1, which has some differences from the current incarnation of the standard race flags, with having Super Balls, Illuminas, and Experience Eggs purchasable in shops, random learn rates for spells on Espers instead of them being tiered, without the possibility of learning Ultima, and no Magitech upgrade, as well as no check skip for Kefka's Tower, similar to the Muggles' first tournament flags. After a grueling week 2 and a sure to be a slog for the Blackjack Battle Royale Maduin table in week 4, I think this will be a welcome reprieve for those that were good enough to make it past the 40 cut line this time around. As the field grows smaller, the margin of error does too, so check back again to see how our runners get on. I've been the Schwantz27. Until next time.